Winston Churchill had his team now, composed mainly of Chamberlain supporters, but carefully assembled to balance competing interests. Still, his situation and that of his government were precarious, not only because of the threat posed by Germany, not yet fully appreciated, but also because the former Prime Minister's loyalists regarded the man who had replaced him as a usurper, and the new government merely as a temporary expedient that soon could be dispensed with. They despised the men on the Tory side with whom Churchill associated, and referred to them as gangsters, or worse. Now, wrote one Chamberlain supporter in a venomous, short-sighted and astoundingly provincial vein, all those reptile satellites will ooze into jobs they are unfitted for. I regard this as a greater disaster than the invasion of the Low Countries. Churchill, too, they continued to loathe and distrust, even though he now occupied the top post. On Monday, May 13, when he entered the debating chamber in the House of Commons for the first time as Prime Minister to deliver his ringing declaration of aims and policies, they did not cheer him, but Chamberlain instead. They deluged the former Premier with letters bemoaning his fall, assuring him of their devotion and begging him to reclaim his old position. "You and you alone," wrote the chairman of the 1922 committee, consisting of Conservative backbench MPs, in a typical message, "have the confidence and are the leader of the great mass of moderate Conservative opinion, in the House, in the party, and in the country." On Friday afternoon, May 10, as Chamberlain had made for Buckingham Palace to hand in his resignation, 4 of his supporters, including R.A. Rab Butler, Conservative member for Saffron Walden, and a Foreign Office Under-Secretary, gathered disconsolately at the Foreign Office. Chamberlain had sold the pass, lamented Butler, to the greatest adventurer of modern political history, a half-breed American. Churchill's grandparents were American. The 4 men opened a bottle and toasted the king over the water, by whom they meant the former Prime Minister. Eventually Churchill would win over these 4 malcontents, but many rank-and-file Tories belonging to a respectable tendency within the Conservative Party would remain irreconcilable, not for days, weeks, or months, but for more than a year. Churchill could not even count upon many of the Conservatives or Conservative-minded men whom he had appointed or reappointed to his government. One, Maurice Hankey, a career civil servant of no party, but a supporter of appeasement, whom Churchill retained as Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, immediately dubbed him a dictator and a rogue elephant. He had a certain amount of imagination, Hankey conceded, but could not grip the war, as Chamberlain had done. The only hope, and Hankey judged it doubtful, was for the 2 wise old elephants, Chamberlain and Halifax, to hold him. But the wise old elephants had doubts too. "I have seldom met anybody with stranger gaps of knowledge, or whose mind worked in greater jerks," Halifax wrote of the new Prime Minister in his diary on May 11, Churchill's first full day in office. Uneasy as to Winston's methods, he noted on May 12, "There is no comparison between Winston and Neville as a chairman," he complained the day after that. Chamberlain, meanwhile, was writing to one correspondent, "I have no confidence that the new administration will be more effective than the last. Indeed, I know they can't be." Anthony Eden thought Chamberlain was clearly hating it all. And Kingsley Wood, who may have known that Churchill once said of himself, after quitting the Conservatives for the Liberals, and then quitting the Liberals for the Conservatives, "Anyone can rat, but it takes a certain amount of ingenuity to re-rat," may himself have been intending to re-rat.